Imagine dreaming of the sky when everyone around you says it's impossible. Picture a world where planes roar overhead and society whispers, "That's not for you." She didn't just listen. She stared up at the clouds and said, "Watch me." From building paper planes as a kid to conquering turbulent skies as a professional pilot, her journey is packed with sweat, fear, and breakthrough moments that will leave you holding your breath. She faced bias, loneliness, and life-or-death challenges, but every obstacle became fuel for her fire. And now? She's not just flying, she's breaking records, mentoring the next generation, and rewriting the rules. Strap in, because this isn't just a story about planes. It's about courage, guts, and proving that the sky has no limits when you dare to soar. She had always looked up. As a child, she would run across the open fields near her home, eyes fixed on the sky, tracing the contrails of passing planes as if they were threads connecting her to a larger destiny. The clouds called to her, a promise of freedom, of possibilities that extended far beyond the boundaries of what her small world could contain. While other children dreamed of fairy tales or heroes, she dreamed of engines roaring, of wings cutting through the wind, of soaring high above the world with nothing but courage and skill as her companions. Her fascination with flight was not fleeting. It was a quiet obsession, nurtured in secret sketches of airplanes in worn notebooks, in hours spent studying the shapes of wings, the mechanics of flight, and the stories of pilots who had dared to defy gravity and expectation alike. Her family watched with a mixture of pride and concern. In their small town, aviation was not a common pursuit for women. It was a world dominated by men in uniforms and leather jackets, a world that seemed untouchable and distant. Yet her determination was relentless, her questions persistent, and her resolve grew with each passing year. She would spend evenings listening to radio broadcasts, learning about the latest flights, the technological marvels of modern aircraft, and the daring feats of those who took to the skies. Every story she absorbed fueled a quiet fire inside her, a belief that one day she would join them among the clouds. School offered little more than ordinary lessons, yet she excelled where it mattered. Mathematics, physics, and geography were not just subjects to memorize. They were tools, keys to unlocking the mystery of flight. Teachers often noticed her curiosity and praised her dedication, though they could not have imagined the intensity of the dream that drove her. When others were content with simple ambitions, she plotted trajectories, calculated lift and drag, and imagined herself maneuvering through storm clouds with steady hands and unwavering focus. Even in moments of solitude, she practiced mentally, envisioning herself in the cockpit, making split-second decisions, and mastering every nuance of control. The world outside her imagination was not always welcoming. Friends questioned her aspirations, some with genuine concern, others with the subtle bias that suggested a woman's place lay elsewhere. Yet these doubts, instead of deterring her, only strengthened her resolve. Every whispered skepticism became a challenge, every doubtful glance a silent call to prove that courage and skill knew no gender. She learned early that to pursue her dream, she would need more than talent. She would need resilience, tenacity, and an unshakable belief in her own abilities. And so she waited, studied, and prepared. Each step was deliberate, each moment an investment in the future she knew awaited her above the clouds. She dreamed not just of flying, but of breaking barriers, of showing that passion, determination, and courage could lift anyone, regardless of circumstance, beyond expectation. The journey had just begun, and the sky, endless and inviting, was hers to claim. She was born in a small town where the horizon stretched wide and the sky seemed larger than life itself. From the earliest years, she was captivated by anything that moved through the air. Paper airplanes, kites, and eventually model planes filled her room, each one a small practice for the real thing. Her parents, loving but cautious, encouraged her curiosity, yet they worried about the practicality of such dreams. Flying is dangerous, they would say, and it is not a path often chosen by women, but she would only smile, her determination invisible to those who underestimated her resolve. School became both a sanctuary and a proving ground. Mathematics fascinated her because it explained the patterns of the world. Physics because it revealed the invisible forces that would someday lift her into the sky. and geography because it mapped the vastness of the world she longed to explore. Her teachers noticed her exceptional aptitude and often encouraged her to continue in these fields, unaware that she was quietly building the foundation for her flight career. Even in recess, she would sketch airplanes, annotate diagrams of wings, engines, and aerodynamics, and imagine herself piloting them through changing weather and open skies. Mentors appeared in unexpected places. A local flight enthusiast noticed her sketches and shared stories of pioneering pilots, some famous, some forgotten, who had defied expectations and risked everything for the love of flight. Their words ignited her imagination and gave her something tangible to hold on to, a vision of what could be accomplished with skill, courage, and unwavering determination. Each story reinforced her belief that despite the obstacles she would face, the sky could belong to her just as much as it did to anyone else. Yet the path was not easy. Friends laughed at her passion, calling it childish or impractical. She heard whispers that her ambitions were too high for a woman. But she had learned early to carry doubt as fuel rather than hindrance. Every insult, every skepticism, became motivation to prove herself. She studied harder, practiced her mental maneuvers, and held fast to her vision. She knew that before she could conquer the skies, she would first need to conquer fear, bias, and the limits that others tried to impose on her. Her teenage years were marked by persistence. She sought out opportunities to learn more about aviation, whether through books, small workshops, or speaking with pilots she could reach. Every lesson, every experiment, was a step closer to the dream that had taken root so many years ago. And when the time finally came to enter formal training, she would do so not as a novice filled with uncertainty, but as a determined pilot in waiting, prepared to face the world with courage, skill, and an unyielding heart. Her dream of flying was no longer a distant fantasy. It was becoming a plan, a mission, and the very foundation of her life. She stepped onto the tarmac for the first time as a formal student of flight, her heart pounding with equal parts excitement and trepidation. The air smelled of fuel and machinery, a sharp, mechanical tang that both intimidated and exhilarated her. Flight school was not merely a place to learn how to control an airplane. It was a crucible designed to test every aspect of her determination, skill, and composure. The instructors were strict, their eyes constantly assessing, measuring not only aptitude but resilience. Many of the other students were men who had grown up with aviation as a dream fully nurtured, while she had clawed her way to this point through sheer passion and persistence. The disparity was noticeable, but she refused to let it define her. Her first lesson was a combination of technical briefing and simulation exercises. She studied the cockpit controls with meticulous attention, memorizing every lever, button, and dial, understanding the intricate relationship between pilot and machine. The simulator challenged her reflexes and decision-making, throwing sudden emergencies at her with a relentless rhythm. Heart racing, she learned to remain calm, to act with precision under pressure. Each small success reinforced her confidence, but every error was a stark reminder of the high stakes involved in flight. Mistakes in the air were not abstract. They had consequences that could not be undone. Practical lessons began with dual flights alongside instructors who demanded absolute focus. Takeoffs tested her nerve, each acceleration down the runway a blend of exhilaration and tension. She learned to anticipate the plane's responses, to communicate silently with the engine and controls, feeling the subtle shifts in balance and wind. Landings were the most harrowing, requiring a harmony of instinct and calculation. Early attempts ended with rough touchdowns, sometimes jolting her back into the reality of her limitations. But she refused to let frustration dominate. She returned to the cockpit repeatedly, each attempt building muscle memory, intuition, and courage. Beyond technical mastery, she faced social challenges. Some classmates were dismissive, whispering skepticism, or overtly questioning her presence. The instructors, while professional, occasionally treated her with extra scrutiny, expecting less because of her gender. She encountered moments of isolation and subtle discouragement, yet she responded with quiet determination. She realized that proving her competence was as critical as learning to fly. Every maneuver executed with precision, every decision made with confidence, became a statement of her capability. Over time, respect was earned, and even those initially doubtful began to acknowledge her skill. The training was grueling, both physically and mentally. Long hours in the air tested endurance, while late nights of study reinforced theory and navigation. Weather conditions added complexity, with sudden storms, high winds, and low visibility presenting challenges that demanded careful judgment. Each flight was an exercise in adaptability and calm under pressure. She learned to analyze patterns, anticipate turbulence, and adjust swiftly to changing circumstances. Fatigue tested her resolve, yet every challenge strengthened her resilience and deepened her bond with the skies she so desperately sought to master. Simultaneously, she discovered an inner strength she had only glimpsed before. Moments of fear, such as sudden mechanical issues or misjudged maneuvers, were met with clarity and focus. She learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Through repeated trials, she developed both technical proficiency and an emotional discipline necessary for a pilot. By the end of her initial training phase, she was no longer just a student. She was a pilot in formation, prepared to face the complexities of professional aviation. Her first solo flight marked a pivotal milestone. Alone in the cockpit, she felt the full weight of responsibility and freedom. The plane responded to her inputs with perfect fidelity, a silent affirmation of every lesson learned, every hour of practice endured. She navigated through clouds and sunlight, guided by instruments and instinct, aware of the vast possibilities that lay ahead. As she landed safely, the exhilaration was overwhelming, a mixture of triumph, relief, and anticipation. She had conquered the first true test of flight, and in doing so, she solidified her commitment to the journey she had chosen, ready to face the next chapter with skill, courage, and unshakable determination. Her entry into professional aviation was both exhilarating and daunting. The transition from student to certified pilot demanded more than technical skill. It required confidence, composure, and the ability to navigate a world that was still dominated by men. She remembered the first day she walked into the airline offices, her uniform crisp, her documents in order, and her heart brimming with anticipation. Colleagues eyed her with curiosity, some respectful, others skeptical. She understood that earning their respect would take time, but she was prepared to let her actions speak louder than words. Every flight, every decision, became a testament to her capabilities and determination. Her early assignments were challenging. Long-haul flights, unpredictable weather, and unfamiliar routes tested her endurance and problem-solving abilities. Yet with each journey, she grew more confident, learning to anticipate the nuances of flight and respond to emergencies with calm precision. Pilots and crew members who had once doubted her began to acknowledge her skill, often seeking her opinion on complex situations. The quiet validation was satisfying, but it never made her complacent. She knew that aviation demanded constant vigilance, and she remained committed to honing her craft, balancing precision with intuition and maintaining a steady hand even when the skies were turbulent. Breaking through barriers extended beyond technical proficiency. Socially, she faced the lingering perception that a woman in the cockpit was unusual, a novelty rather than an equal. She encountered subtle biases, colleagues assuming she could not handle long flights, questioning her decision-making or doubting her endurance. Rather than allowing these judgments to frustrate her, she used them as motivation, letting her professionalism and competence dismantle stereotypes. With every successful landing, every flawlessly executed maneuver, she demonstrated that courage, skill, and determination were not defined by gender. Over time, she began to be recognized not only as a competent pilot, but also as a reliable leader, someone whose presence elevated the safety and efficiency of every flight. There were moments of personal triumph that reinforced her sense of purpose. Her first international assignment, navigating across continents and through complex airspaces, brought both anxiety and exhilaration. The responsibility of managing the aircraft, crew, and passengers alone was immense, yet she met it with composure and skill. Passengers often remarked on her professionalism, while crew members noted her calm decisiveness in handling unexpected turbulence or operational challenges. Each achievement strengthened her confidence, confirming that her years of preparation and perseverance had prepared her for this demanding career. Her influence gradually extended beyond her own flights. She began mentoring younger pilots, particularly women, offering guidance, encouragement, and practical advice for navigating a male-dominated industry. She shared lessons learned from both success and setbacks, fostering a new generation of pilots who saw possibilities where others once saw barriers. Her mentorship became a quiet revolution, reshaping the perception of women in aviation and inspiring those who followed her to pursue their dreams without hesitation or compromise. Despite the progress she had made, challenges persisted. Some colleagues remained skeptical, and societal expectations continued to press against her ambitions. Yet, she had learned to navigate both the skies and the prejudices that followed her. Every successful flight, every obstacle overcome, became a symbol of resilience and determination. With each passing day, she solidified her place not merely as a pilot but as a pioneer, a woman who had proven that courage, skill, and unwavering commitment could overcome even the most entrenched barriers. By the end of her first years in professional aviation, she was no longer just a pilot striving to prove herself. She had become a symbol of progress, a testament to perseverance, and an inspiration to those who dared to dream. She had earned the trust of her peers, the admiration of her passengers, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that she was charting a course not only for herself but for every woman who would follow in her wake. Her journey above the clouds was only beginning, but already she had transformed both the skies she flew and the world below. Balancing her career with her personal life proved to be one of the most demanding challenges she had ever faced. The long hours, constant travel, and irregular schedules left little room for relationships or family, and yet she refused to abandon either. There were nights she returned from flights exhausted, the hum of the engine still echoing in her mind, only to find her small apartment quiet and lonely. Friends invited her to dinners, family gatherings, and celebrations she could rarely attend, and she sometimes felt the weight of isolation pressing against her resolve. Yet she reminded herself that every sacrifice was part of the larger journey she had chosen, a journey that required both courage and focus. There were moments when doubt crept in, subtle but persistent. Questions lingered in her mind. Was she neglecting the personal connections that mattered most? Could she truly maintain this life indefinitely without losing herself in the demands of her career? These thoughts were compounded by the occasional failure or setback, such as a misjudged landing, an operational mistake, or a critical review from a superior. Each incident tested her confidence and resilience, forcing her to confront the reality that even the most skilled pilot was vulnerable to human error and the scrutiny of others. She learned to treat each challenge not as a failure, but as a lesson, an opportunity to refine her skill and deepen her understanding of both aviation and herself. Her relationships were often strained by the demands of her profession. Partners and friends sometimes struggled to understand the intensity of her commitment to flight. There were evenings spent on calls while she waited in layovers, and holidays missed due to mandatory assignments. Yet she discovered ways to bridge these gaps, fostering communication and support even across distances. In moments of connection, whether a brief conversation with a loved one or a letter expressing understanding and encouragement, she found reassurance and balance. These personal relationships, though tested, became anchors, reminding her that life above the clouds was meaningful not just for personal ambition, but for those who shared in her journey from afar. The emotional weight of responsibility also grew heavier with experience. She encountered near accidents, mechanical failures, and sudden storms that demanded immediate, precise decisions. Each incident reminded her that flying was not only a technical skill, but a moral responsibility. Passengers' lives rested in her hands, and the knowledge was both humbling and empowering. She learned to manage fear with focus, to channel anxiety into clarity, and to approach each flight with respect for the unpredictable nature of the skies. These experiences forged a discipline and mental strength that carried beyond the cockpit, influencing her outlook on every aspect of life. Professional setbacks sometimes intersected with personal sacrifice. Opportunities missed due to scheduling conflicts, promotions delayed by administrative decisions, or misunderstandings with colleagues reminded her that persistence required patience as much as courage. She learned to navigate disappointment with resilience, viewing obstacles as temporary rather than defining. Even in moments of frustration, she maintained a commitment to excellence, understanding that her reputation and influence were built over time through consistent effort and unwavering dedication. Despite the hardships, there were profound moments of fulfillment. The satisfaction of a flawless landing, the gratitude of passengers, and the quiet pride in mentoring aspiring pilots created a balance against the sacrifices. She recognized that her courage and perseverance extended beyond technical skill. They were rooted in her ability to endure, adapt, and continue pursuing her dreams despite personal and professional challenges. In these moments, she understood the full scope of her journey, a life of both sacrifice and triumph, of struggle and inspiration, and above all, of the unwavering determination to soar. By the end of this phase of her life, she had gained a deeper understanding of what it truly meant to follow a passion. She realized that courage was measured not only by daring flights or breaking records, but by the quiet resilience to navigate personal hardship, maintain integrity, and continue forward when the path was demanding. Each sacrifice, each late night, each challenge she faced became part of a story defined not by ease, but by perseverance, shaping her not only into a skilled pilot, but into a woman capable of inspiring others through both her achievements and the strength of her character. Her career had reached a stage where the fruits of years of dedication and perseverance became increasingly visible. Each milestone achieved was a testament to both her skill and her unrelenting commitment to aviation. She piloted challenging routes that tested every ounce of her training, from navigating turbulent international flights to executing precision landings in complex airspaces. Her reputation for composure under pressure grew, and colleagues and passengers alike began to see her not merely as a competent pilot, but as a leader whose decisions inspired confidence and trust. Each accomplishment reinforced her belief that courage and determination could open doors that once seemed firmly closed. One of the most significant achievements came when she was selected to lead a historic long-haul flight, a journey that would place her name in aviation records. The responsibility was immense, but she approached it with the calm focus that had become her hallmark. She meticulously studied every aspect of the flight, from weather patterns to technical specifications, ensuring that every detail was accounted for. When the day arrived, she executed the journey with flawless precision, demonstrating not only her technical expertise, but also her capacity to inspire and guide the crew under her command. The flight was celebrated in aviation circles, a recognition of her excellence and a symbol of her breaking barriers. Her influence extended beyond her personal accomplishments. She became a mentor and advocate for aspiring pilots, particularly women who had long been discouraged from pursuing aviation. Through workshops, training programs, and personal guidance, she shared the lessons she had learned through years of persistence and practice. Her mentorship was practical and empowering, helping others navigate the technical demands of flight while also cultivating resilience, confidence, and professionalism. Each mentee she guided was a testament to her impact, a living legacy of her courage and dedication. Awards and public recognition began to follow. She was celebrated not only for her technical accomplishments, but for the broader example she set. Interviews, speaking engagements, and industry accolades recognized her as a pioneer, someone whose achievements challenged the traditional norms of aviation. Yet despite the attention, she remained focused on the work itself, understanding that accolades were secondary to the responsibility she bore in the cockpit and the influence she could have on the next generation. Her humility and dedication only amplified the admiration she inspired. Even as recognition grew, she continued to push her own limits. New flight challenges, advanced training, and increasingly complex assignments tested her abilities and encouraged continual growth. She learned to adapt to evolving technology, changing regulations, and international standards, embracing every opportunity to refine her expertise. Her perseverance became a model for colleagues, illustrating that true mastery in any field requires not just talent, but ongoing effort, reflection, and courage. Her achievements had broader significance as well. Each success challenged entrenched perceptions about women in aviation, demonstrating that skill, leadership, and bravery were not limited by gender. She became a symbol of possibility, showing that barriers could be broken, not through confrontation, but through excellence and unwavering dedication. Communities of aspiring pilots, industry leaders, and young women everywhere looked to her example, inspired to pursue their own dreams with similar determination. By the time she reflected on this phase of her career, she understood that her journey was about more than personal triumphs. It was about influence, inspiration, and the lasting impact of perseverance and courage. Every flight, every milestone, and every person she guided was part of a legacy she was consciously shaping. Her story was no longer just her own. It had become a beacon for others, a testament to the power of skill, resilience, and unwavering commitment to one's dreams. She soared not only above the clouds, but above the limits imposed by society, leaving a mark that would endure long after she had touched down. The crisis came without warning, a stark reminder that the skies, no matter how familiar, were never entirely predictable. She was piloting a routine international flight when the weather suddenly shifted, transforming a calm journey into a test of skill, composure, and endurance. Thick clouds obscured visibility, turbulence rattled the cabin, and instruments flashed warnings that demanded immediate attention. Every decision she made had consequences, not just for herself, but for the crew and passengers who placed their trust in her hands. Fear was present, as it always was in moments of uncertainty, but she had learned that courage was measured by action, not absence of emotion. The hours that followed were grueling. She coordinated with air traffic control, recalculated flight paths, and adjusted to shifting wind patterns while maintaining the plane's stability. Each maneuver required precision. Each calculation demanded concentration, and each instruction to the crew had to be clear and calm despite the chaos around them. She drew upon every lesson learned in flight school and every challenge she had overcome in her career. Her hands moved instinctively over the controls, her eyes scanning instruments and horizon alike, her mind a balance of analytical thought and instinctive reaction. Amid the crisis, she faced moments of doubt. What if her calculations were slightly off? What if mechanical systems failed under pressure? Each question was met with the reminder that hesitation could endanger lives. She relied on training, experience, and a steady hand, channeling anxiety into clarity and fear into decisive action. The turbulence became not just a physical challenge, but a psychological one, testing her resilience and reinforcing the depth of her determination. She understood that the test was not only of her skill as a pilot, but of her character, endurance, and capacity to lead under pressure. The crew's confidence was vital. She communicated continuously, offering reassurance and instruction, maintaining order amidst the unpredictability. Their trust in her decision-making was a reflection of the respect she had earned over years of perseverance, skill, and leadership. Passengers, though unaware of the full complexity of the situation, sensed the calm authority she projected. Her composure became a stabilizing force, a quiet assurance that despite the storm, they were guided by someone capable and courageous. Hours passed before the storm finally began to ease. She carefully navigated through shifting weather patterns, guided the aircraft along a safe course, and executed a landing that required every ounce of her technical skill. The runway appeared like a narrow line of promise amidst the residual chaos, and she brought the plane down with precision, smoothness, and control that earned quiet admiration from ground crews and fellow pilots. The relief was palpable, yet tempered by the awareness of the responsibility she carried and the lessons she had internalized. The experience left an indelible mark. She reflected on the fragility of life, the unpredictability of the skies, and the importance of preparation, composure, and resilience. The crisis was not just a challenge to be overcome, it was a turning point, affirming her confidence, reinforcing her skills, and deepening her understanding of leadership in moments of extreme pressure. She realized that true courage was not the absence of danger, but the ability to act decisively and responsibly when confronted with it. In the aftermath, her reputation grew not only for technical mastery, but for unshakable composure in adversity. Stories of her handling the crisis spread among peers and aspiring pilots, further solidifying her role as a figure of inspiration. The storm had tested her in ways she could never have anticipated. Yet, it had also revealed the strength, resilience, and wisdom she had cultivated through years of dedication. She had faced fear and uncertainty, and emerged not only successful but profoundly transformed, ready to continue her journey with renewed determination and a deeper appreciation for the challenges and responsibilities of flight. Her influence extended far beyond her own flights, shaping the aviation community and inspiring those who watched her journey with admiration. She had become more than a pilot. She was a mentor, a symbol, and a voice for change in a field long dominated by men. Young aspiring pilots sought her guidance, hoping to learn not just the technical skills required to fly, but also the perseverance, composure, and confidence that had defined her career. She welcomed these opportunities, understanding that her experience could help others navigate the obstacles she had faced and continue the progress she had fought to achieve. She organized workshops and training sessions, sharing both practical knowledge and personal insight. She demonstrated maneuvers, explained safety protocols, and emphasized the importance of discipline and preparation. But she also spoke openly about challenges that were often invisible. The subtle biases, the moments of self-doubt, the sacrifices required to pursue such a demanding path. Her honesty resonated, giving her mentees not only skills but also courage. She encouraged them to trust their instincts, to act decisively, and to embrace resilience in the face of adversity. Every success they achieved felt like a shared victory, a testament to her influence and the mentorship she provided. Her advocacy extended beyond the classroom. She spoke at conferences, addressed industry panels, and contributed to programs promoting diversity and inclusion in aviation. She challenged outdated perceptions with a combination of eloquence, credibility, and lived experience, demonstrating through both words and actions that competence and courage were not defined by gender. Her voice helped shape policy discussions, influence hiring practices, and inspire organizational change. Each step forward reinforced the message that the skies were open to anyone willing to commit themselves fully, regardless of the barriers that had existed for generations. Even with growing public recognition, she remained focused on her core passion, flying. She continued to take on challenging assignments, test new routes, and refine her technical skills. Every flight remained an opportunity to grow, to lead by example, and to demonstrate the standards she believed every pilot should uphold. Her dedication to excellence, coupled with her advocacy, created a unique combination of achievement and influence that left a lasting impression on peers and protégés alike. She also nurtured a broader sense of community among pilots. Her mentorship encouraged collaboration rather than competition, and her presence inspired camaraderie and mutual respect. Those she guided often spoke of her patience, clarity, and unwavering commitment to helping others succeed. The culture she fostered reflected the values she held dear: professionalism, courage, and perseverance. Her influence rippled outward, creating a network of pilots and enthusiasts who shared her vision of aviation as a field defined by opportunity, skill, and inclusivity. As she reflected on her journey, she recognized that her accomplishments were not just personal triumphs. They were part of a larger legacy, one that would endure in the careers of those she had mentored, in the policies she had influenced, and in the inspiration she had provided to countless individuals. Her courage, determination, and leadership had transformed not only her life but the lives of those who followed her path. She understood that her story was now intertwined with the future of aviation itself, a story of perseverance, influence, and the power of one individual to change the world. Through her continued dedication, mentorship, and advocacy, she ensured that her impact would last far beyond her own flights. The skies she had once longed to conquer had become a space of opportunity and inspiration for many, and she had become a beacon of what could be achieved through courage, skill, and unwavering determination. Her legacy was alive in the wings of every aspiring pilot she guided, a testament to the enduring power of leadership and the courage to pursue one's dreams. She often found herself reflecting on the journey that had carried her from the fields of her childhood to the vast expanse of the skies. Each milestone, each challenge, and each triumph came into sharp relief as she considered the path she had traveled. The early days of fascination with airplanes, the hours spent studying diagrams and mechanics, and the perseverance through skepticism and bias all wove together into a tapestry of determination and courage. She realized that every obstacle had shaped her, not merely as a pilot, but as a person capable of facing adversity with clarity and resolve. Looking back, she recognized the profound growth that came with each stage of her life. Flight school had taught her discipline and technical mastery, but it was the experiences beyond the cockpit, navigating prejudice, balancing personal sacrifice, and mentoring others, that had revealed the depth of her resilience. She understood that courage was not measured solely by skill or daring maneuvers, but by the quiet persistence to continue forward when circumstances were most difficult. Each setback had been a lesson, each success a confirmation of her dedication, and together they had forged a character that could withstand both turbulence and uncertainty. She also reflected on the lives she had touched and the influence she had cultivated. Every mentee she had guided, every aspiring pilot she had inspired, and every colleague who had come to respect her ability and professionalism was part of her enduring legacy. She realized that her journey had become larger than herself, a story that extended into the dreams and ambitions of countless others who now believed that the sky was not a limit, but a space of possibility. Her courage and determination had proven that barriers, whether societal or personal, could be challenged and overcome. Moments of solitude offered her clarity and perspective. Sitting quietly before a flight, watching the sunrise through the cockpit window, she contemplated the meaning of success and fulfillment. It was not merely recognition, accolades, or records that defined her achievements. It was the commitment to her passion, the perseverance through doubt, and the positive impact she had on others. She understood that the true measure of her journey lay in the courage to continue despite fear, the resilience to rise after failure, and the generosity to support others as they embarked on their own flights. As she prepared for each new mission, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The skies were both a challenge and a canvas, a place where skill met intuition and courage met responsibility. She embraced the unknown with confidence, knowing that every experience, whether triumphant or testing, had strengthened her capacity to lead, inspire, and achieve. Reflection had become a tool not only for understanding the past, but for guiding her future, ensuring that every decision was grounded in wisdom gained from years of experience. Ultimately, she recognized that her story was a testament to perseverance, determination, and courage. It was a story that demonstrated how dreams could be pursued relentlessly, how obstacles could be transformed into opportunities, and how one individual's passion could ignite inspiration in others. She understood that the journey itself, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the lives touched, was the most profound achievement of all. The woman who once gazed at the sky with wonder had become a pioneer, a mentor, and a symbol of what could be accomplished through unwavering dedication and belief in oneself. Her reflection was not an end, but a bridge to what lay ahead. She knew that the skies would always offer new challenges, new opportunities, and new horizons to explore. With every flight, she continued to honor the courage that had carried her this far, and she committed herself to inspiring the next generation of dreamers who looked upward and imagined what could be possible. The journey had shaped her, and she had shaped the journey, leaving a legacy defined not just by altitude, but by the courage to rise above expectation, fear, and limitation. She looked out over the endless horizon, the sun casting a golden glow across the clouds she had long admired as a child. Each flight had been a journey of skill, perseverance, and courage, but it was also a testament to the years of dedication that had carried her from dreams to reality. She reflected on the obstacles she had overcome, the skepticism she had faced, and the moments of doubt that had tested her resolve. Every challenge had shaped her, and every triumph had affirmed that determination and passion could break barriers and redefine what was possible. Her legacy extended beyond her own achievements. The pilots she had mentored, the young women inspired by her story, and the colleagues who had witnessed her quiet resilience all carried pieces of her influence forward. She realized that her life's work was not only measured in flights completed or records set, but in the courage she had instilled in others and the doors she had helped open. As the plane soared above the clouds, she felt a profound sense of freedom and fulfillment. The sky was no longer merely a dream. It was a space she had claimed through skill, bravery, and unwavering determination. She understood that true courage was enduring, inspiring, and transformative. Above the clouds, she was limitless, a symbol of what could be achieved when one dared to pursue a dream with heart, discipline, and unwavering belief in oneself.